Snoopy lovin', Garfield lovin', Turtle Mom.
So, preparing for today's episode, Manly, I had him all set up. He was all ready to go. He poops everywhere. I don't mean everywhere. I mean, like, I have never seen a turtle poop as much as him. Hence the diaper. He, I don't know. He's been eating the same thing for 20 something years. And then today he just let it go. It was awful. And he has a fancy little tub. He plays in outside. Fancy little tub. It was a $10 kiddie pool from Dollar General. And I put him in there and here because I was like, you know what, today I'll just let him be in there so he can wander how he wants to without having to get constantly picked up by me and moved around. No, he immediately I put him in there, he just poops. And then walks backward into his poop and then gets the poop all over his belly and then literally slides the poop around. Have children, they said. It'll be fun, they said. It's worth it, they said. Gift from God, they claim. They don't tell you about the poopy. They sure don't tell you about the poopy. I'm trying to make a leg hole for him so that way you can be able to move your leg. But, oh my goodness, I've owned this man for 10 years. And he's 20 years old. I have never once seen him poop like that. I don't know if it was stress or because he was bored, but he did it. And that's all that matters. So, yeah. But some life updates because everyone wants them. First update is I'm drinking a chai. It is peach, vanilla, and honey. I'm gonna take a little sippy. Yummy. He and I went trick-or-treating. I was dressed up as a cowboy. He was, in his little outfit. That was cute. I'll pull up a picture of that. And we looked really good there. And he walked around with me for an hour. At first he had on this. He had on his diaper. Which, But then he was like, I don't want the diaper on. So I took it off. And he was doing very well. He did pretty well for the night. Never peed or pooped the entire time. I don't know why today he decided I'm just going to take a big dookie right now and just play in it. What else have we done? We got a photo shoot. Me and him did a professional photo shoot together. If I remember, I'll pull up some photos of us and put it on here because we look pretty darn good. And he never peed or pooped during that either. I'm just baffled. I have never once in my life experienced that from a turtle, let alone a child. I've never once experienced that from a baby either when I was a daycare teacher. I just wow, I'm shocked. I'm shooken. I'm gagged, gooped, galloped. I'm all of those things. And I even set up my camera to be a little higher today so he could actually be seen in his little pool. But now his pool's full of poop. It's full of doo-doo. Literal doo-doo. But I'm gonna move my mouse. This isn't a mouse. Move my microphone over here. And I'm just gonna hold him until he doesn't want me to. Because I don't know. I'm just shocked. I'm just shocked today. And today's episode, what's it about? I was going to speak on theater because I have a degree in that. And I was going to be like, hey guys, is theater worth it? Is it worth, pretending to be someone else? Is it worth getting a 4-year degree? But I did it in 3 because of my other degree I have. But I don't want to talk about that anymore. I don't want to. Number one, because I was going to hate on it. Don't do it. Don't get a degree. All that things. But now I just don't feel it anymore, because now I experience the poopy. I guess is his equivalent of having a temper tantrum, because he doesn't really freak out, because look at him. He's a turtle. He doesn't really do much. Well, he does a lot, actually. But still, I was like, it just took like 5 years off my life. I've been changed. I'm a changed woman. Like, I went into setting this up as a little girl, and I'm leaving this recording today a woman. But that child be kicking me pretty good, in a good way. So now I don't know what I'm going to talk about. And he's looking back at me. He's like, why are you holding me at this upward position? I don't know. Children. Thoughts? Because now, okay, I will say this. My nose is like weirdly runny. It's always so runny when I'm doing these. Like this side especially, it's like, I can't. I've never wanted kids. And now we're about to get into the little nitty gritty of my life and thought processes. My processes. Because I have never really wanted children. Like my entire life. Really. I mean, like The Sims last episode, I talked about how I love giving them like 6 kids apiece because I love watching Planet Squares. But in real life, I was a daycare teacher. It was my first job ever. I mean, I like was a nanny and I was a babysitter. But I never really like worked full 8-hour days with children before, like early in the morning till 6 o'clock in the evening. So when I got that job like 6-7 years ago, I was so excited because I loved little babies. I loved playing with babies. And they're like, oh, you'll be in the 2-year-olds room. I was like, oh, I love 2-year-olds. I was alone with 10 2-year-olds for 8 hours a day. I was the one that cleaned them up. I was the one that, oh, he slid right out of your diaper. Did you poopy? No, thank goodness. I was the one that, did everything for them in 8 hours. And on one end, they aren't, your kid, like at all. So there is that like weird barrier. Come here, please. There is that barrier of like, there's like that line. It was like, this isn't my kid. And so like the daycare I worked at, we weren't really like supposed to give them like timeouts, even though they were like complete heathens. And we weren't really supposed to like, punish them. It was just more like, no. And that was it. Like, that was the extent of the punishment. It was like, don't do that. After they, like, beat another kid to death with a block. So, I worked the 2-year-olds, and I worked also 1-year-olds and newborns. I love the newborn room, because with newborns, you only had 5 in the room. And they were all, under the age of 1. And they were just so precious and sweet. And yes, there was 5. And yes, they were always crying and losing their minds. But it was just something about tummy time, having them all lay on their tummies at the same time, and you're sitting in the middle. You're gonna walk right over my hand. I feel like you are. And oh, okay. And there's something just peaceful about that, compared to 6 1-year-olds screaming their heads off and 10 2-year-olds just losing their minds and screaming, crying. You'd snap time, lay down, patting their back like, lay down, nap time, and they aren't moving, they're crying, they're screaming, and because they are screaming and crying, therefore you can't function because other kids are losing their minds. And I remember one day, before I quit, I had this one kid, and he was just so bad, he was just awful, and he did something, he would always get on the tables and just walk on the tables, and of course you don't do that, even as an adult, you don't do that. And I remember it was just that moment. I was like, I'm so done. I can't do this. And I put in my 2 weeks notice literally as I was leaving. I was leaving that evening, and I just walked into the main office, and I was like, hey, here's my 2 weeks. I was like, I'm just done. And that was the best thing I ever did. Because, like, growing up, may have a little sippy. I loved children. I worked in the nursery at church every single Sunday. I did everything. They're like, oh, we need a babysitter. I was like, me. I don't care how old your kid is. I want to work. I want to be with children. I love little kids. And I feel like we as girls are expected to just have a maternal instinct. Just, it doesn't matter how old you are. It's just like, oh, look at her. She's holding her baby doll. Like, she's meant to be a mother. All these things. And it's just, no. And it wasn't until, like, after I left the daycare, it, like, changed me for life. I can't. I mean, I'm not saying I hate children. I don't hate kids at all. It's just, I think I was born to be an auntie and not a mother. Like, I'm serving aunt. I'm not serving mother. I'm not giving that mother vibe. I don't feel it. I don't want to give it. And I think it's fine. And now at the age that I am at, 26, a lot of people say, well, oh my goodness, like, you're going to change. My own mother was like, girl, like, I didn't want kids either. And then I got pregnant with you. And then I wanted you more than anything. That's different because you got pregnant and you had a baby. I honestly, I just don't want one. One of my favorite coworkers told me she was pregnant. And usually when people say, like, oh, I'm pregnant, people are like, oh my God, like, gift from the Lord. Congratulations. Do you see that? That's a poopy rock. He had a little poopy on him. That is disgusting. You disgust me. Hold on. You little booger. And it's like, oh my goodness, like, gift from the Lord. Like, we're so happy. Whenever she told me, she was like, hey, I'm just letting you know now because I just found out that I'm pregnant. And I had like, okay. Like, that was my reaction. I was just like, oh, okay, yeah. Like, I was like, I don't know. And I told her just flat out, I was like, I know it seems like I'm not excited for you. I am. This is what you want. But just know I just don't really, yeah. Because, yeah, she's my age. And people my age are married with children. They want those things. And when I was told that she was like, yeah, I'm pregnant, my first thought, I was like, does your dad know? Because to me, I was like, oh my goodness, we're 15. Like, this is the worst thing ever. Like, are you going to be able to graduate high school? Like, are you still going to be able to go to college? Like, oh my goodness, this is awful. No, this is a married woman. She has a college degree. She wants children. This is what she wants. This is the next, obvious step of her life, having a baby. And I'm over here like, oh goodness, are you sure? Like, but I don't know. To get personal, in Bible college, we took a marriage and family class, and we had to write a thing out of like, you're like, what do you want for your future? Like, do you want to get married? How many kids do you want? Stuff like that. And I like read my essay that I wrote like forever ago, not too long ago. And my parents split up when I was like 11 or 12. And so I was technically raised by two single parents. And I mean, yeah, they're both single to this day. Neither of them have ever remarried. But, I consider myself, I was like raised by a single mom, single dad, because they both had their own houses and they had their own, things. And yeah, we would switch out every week to the other house, but still, like, there was that divide. Not barrier. It's the word divide. I kept saying barrier earlier. Don't go towards your own poop. Like a dog returns to its vomit. Do not do that. And I wrote in there, I was like, I don't want to get married, but I wouldn't mind having a kid, just one. But I want to be a single mother. And we had like required mentorships where you were paid to have a therapist once a week. And it was pretty nice because I got to talk about myself a lot. And I basically told, the mentor, her husband was the teacher for this class. And so he apparently read my essay, said to her, hey, this is a little concerning. And then she talked to me about it. And she was like, hey, your essay's a little concerning. Like, this is weird for a girl, a good Christian girl. You should want to get married. You should want that. You should want to care for a man. Like, what are you doing? And I was like, yeah, no. I don't want this. And I was like, even the one kid I have, I don't want to birth it. I was like, I wouldn't mind adopting a nice 10-year-old boy. He's already grown, and I just, help him until whenever he's ready to be on his own. And they were always just so baffled by that. I remember telling someone there that was a guy student, because every man, like every woman has to birth that thing and go through all the pregnancy pain and labor and everything, while a man's just like, I want 3 kids. And I want the 3 kids back to back, because I think every child should have a friend the moment they leave the womb. They don't have to be triplets or twins. I just want them to immediately have a friend. And I'm going to work, and you're going to do all of this for them, because that's how it is. And I won't know anything about their medical history or anything like that, because I'm the daddy. And mummies ruin everything, but hear me out. I can only decide what you pay for on our shared credit card. That is, of course, an extreme situation, but sadly a lot of people feel that way. So I just don't... I do think that having a kid would be fulfilling, I guess, to an extent. It gives you something to do for 18 to 25 years. It does. You have something to do. There's a reason you wake up. You have, it gives your life meaning, apparently. Someone could... well, don't you want someone to take care of you when you're old? That's what nursing homes are for. What's to say my child wouldn't force me into a nursing home? Well, don't you want your stuff to be left to somebody? That's what Goodwills are for. I don't care where my stuff goes. Put it to Goodwill. Have an estate sale. I don't care. I have 2 nephews and 2 great nieces. I already am living the aunt dream. The little auntie dream. I went to high school with both of my nephews. Because my sister is 19 years older than me, and she had a baby like a year and a half, something like that, after I was born. So I was an aunt I've been an aunt for a long time. And my first great niece was born 4 years ago. So I've been around the block. I'm still on that block. I'm still currently walking the block. So, and I have a younger sibling, and he most likely will have children of his own. So there you go. Auntie status. And if I get married and he has siblings that have kids, boom, more nieces and nephews. I'm just set on life. And I don't want to say that Bible college destroyed me and messed me up, because that's not true. There's a lot of good memories from that. I was actually on the phone from 7 p.m. to 10:15 p.m. with one of my close friends from Bible college. What are you doing? It might look like he was sniffing me, but he definitely was going in for the kill. he gonna eat me. But we talked about it because we had the exact same degree. We graduated a year apart from each other. And I was like, do you just feel like, to an extent, any of it was worth it? And she was like, oh yeah, of course, because I continued on my education and kept getting more degrees, and she didn't, and which is fine. And she was like, oh yeah, I feel like, it fulfilled me. This is great. This is what I wanted. I was like, yeah, I appreciate the fact that I went, because it gave me the discipline needed for an adult and the right stepping stones to see what I wanted and what I didn't want, and my relationship with God and stuff like that. And I don't want to get religious nor political, because ew. But it was just stuff like that. I saw the extremes, and I saw the laid back. It was all there, because the Bible college I went to, we had to wear jean skirts, we had to wear shirts you can't see your armpits or your chest, or you can't tell you're a woman and stuff. And it was just very extreme discipline, strict rules. And I will say though, that place gave me so much anxiety, and not in the way you think. It's because of the fire alarms. My school is very old. It is about to be 100 years old, I think. It's very close to it. And since we were in an old building that had a 3-minute burn up time limit, we once a semester had a fire drill late at night. They always did it past 10 o'clock because the way it's set up was the doors open at 7 a.m. They unlock all the doors, and we are required to be in the building in our room by 10 p.m. because we had a curfew, and that was our limit. We couldn't go past it. You had to get special permission to be out later, and very rarely were you given special permission unless it was like emergency or you were traveling in from the weekend and stuff like that. And we were only allowed to go home one weekend of the semester. You had to get 2 weeks in advance permission to go home because they wanted us to be away from mommy and daddy, when in reality they just wanted us there because we were also all used as custodians and maintenance and everything else. And so you go in at 10, you have to be in your room because then the RA would go around and do room checks, make sure you're in your room. And then by midnight, you had to be asleep, essentially. Like, you have to be off your computer, off your phone, you have to be in bed. And I had my own room. Well, one, because of COVID, and two, because the stars aligned. Because my first semester I had a roommate, and then she left, and then after that I just was alone the entire time, which don't bother me. So what I would do, everyone considered me just like an early little, like, going to bed, because I would always be in bed by 9 o'clock, and my door would be locked. I would lock it, and so every time they'd like knock on the door for room check, they'd be like, oh, Allison's asleep. No, I'm fully awake. I'm staying up till 2 a.m. on my phone because I'm an adult. And so that's what I did. And so everyone always would make fun of me because, like, Allison is just this, like, always takes naps. She always goes to bed so early. And I would be up and out of my room by 8 a.m. every day. And that's because that was just, well, first of all, we had to. That was part of our schedule. But I was just, like, always, like, early to bed, early to rise, makes a man something and wise. But I did that so I could have alone time, because when you are at a school of like only 40 students, everyone knows everything about you and all your hot gossip, and everyone knows what you're doing because there's nowhere to go, because they made sure that everything was set up to where you're always found no matter what, so men and women can't be alone together. And so the thing is that after 10 p.m. to midnight, any time of the semester, we could have a fire drill, because apparently it was required. Always is required. My college I just graduated from, they didn't do that, thankfully. Like, they would just have a fire drill at like 3 p.m. on a Tuesday, and if you were so happened to be in the building, you could like come out and participate. But other than that, most of the time I never participated in the fire drills because I was never there. And so, but this one, no, they made sure everyone's involved because there's like 15 girls in the dorms, and so we had to. And so if it hadn't happened yet, if the fire drill had never happened yet, I was a nervous wreck from 10 to midnight every single night. Like, I would literally lay there covering my ears because I was just so scared, because my room was by the stairwell, and right above the stairwell was the fire alarm, which was so freaking loud. And so I was terrified all the time. And so I literally would lay there, because I had like a lofted bed that was like well over 6 feet high. And I would just literally lay there with my, like this the entire time. And then be on like my phone and watch it be past midnight and be like, okay, I can go to sleep now. That's part of the reason why I'd stay up so late, because I was so scared. But once the fire alarm happened, I would go to bed. It didn't matter. And I remember this one particular night, I had my windows open, and I had a front corner room. So I had one in the front and then one on the side, window-wise. And I had them open, and I heard a lot of chattering outside, and it was the boys, because the boys' dorm was like right across from the girls. And I saw them out there. They're having their fire alarm, which means we're about to have ours. And it was like just turned 10. So I remembered, I get up and I put like my clothes on, put my bra back on, and I'm just sitting on my futon waiting. I was like, okay, they're coming, or they're going to be here any second. Because the moment I'm like outside waiting for them, we automatically fail the test. Because I don't know. And so I remember just sitting there waiting, literally with my ears covered, of just sitting there waiting. And then it goes off, and then I run down there. I'm the first one out because I knew it was coming. But they were like, oh yeah, we have to do this, and if we fail it, we have to take it again. And they're like, there's always one girl in the shower. So I would take my shower extremely early, like 8 p.m. because I was so scared. I was so terrified of the thought of being stuck in there. And yeah, that's where my anxiety comes from. I mean, of course, there's other reasons, but it's just like, it was just so nerve wracking to be there in the dorms because it was just like any moment, you're going to hear a lot of screeching sound. But back to children and families. Of course, my thoughts could change as I get older. I could get married to a man and be like, you know what? I can pop one out for you. I can pop it out for you. I won't, if I like, I don't know, like gun to my head, you have to have a baby. Just one. Please, just one. One good looking son. Because not because I'm anti-girl, but it's just, I just don't want children. And like, the thought of adopting, yeah, I could adopt. Because one thing, I want a child to have a better life. If you're already on the planet, yes, I want you to have a good life. So I am not against adopting children that have been in the world for a few years and suffered to have a better life. And I would gladly take care of them and help them. But I do not want my own kids. And it's not because I just don't want to bring children into this sick and twisted world. No. I just don't want to get fat. I just don't want to go through that trouble because I think it's unfair. I don't care what you have to say. I don't care. I shouldn't have to suffer and the man just sit there and chill. No, if I'm in labor, I'm going to literally rip that man's pee-pee right off. Every single time I get a labor pain, I'm just literally going to twist it as hard as I freaking can. I want you crying. I want you suffering. And you're like, oh my goodness, that's so selfish. You're like the worst woman alive. Yeah, okay. Cool. I don't give a rip. I don't care. Why? Because life's unfair. And if I should have to suffer, you should have to suffer. I don't care. You did this to me. You knocked me up. You made me look like this. You made me have stretch marks. You made me look like a zebra on my tummy. Why shouldn't I rip off one of your bearing fruits? And people are like, push presents. Like, what? Like, the kid's the present? No, it freaking isn't. This is just another mouth I have to feed in my house. This is just another little living being. This is worse than a dog. Like, this, this doesn't know how to use a litter box because it just poops everywhere. It poops everywhere, and then you just have to reap what you sow and accept facts for what they are. But, oh, children are a blessing from the Lord. Oh, my God. Like, I have several old professors from Bible college that have 7+ kids, very close in age. Why? Because they feel called and led. And you know what? I'm not shaming your calling. If you feel called to have your own soccer team, who am I to stop you? Who am I to sit there and say, ew? Because no, that's what you want to do because you're taking care of them. You take care of them. That's your kid. You do it. I have one professor. How many kids do they have? 7? I think they're expecting another set. All of their children, except for one, are twins. One set, and then they had a non-twin. Another set of twins, another set of twins, and they're expecting another set of twins. 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 kids under the age of 7. Because they're nothing but twins. And you know what? Good for you. You keep pushing them out because, oh my goodness. No. I couldn't do that. And I have another professor who just had, I think, his 6th baby. I can't really remember. And none of them are twins. They're just choosing this life. And that's fine. You choose it. If you want multiple children and you just want to have nothing but mouths to feed for the rest of your life, you go ahead because that's what you consider as fulfilling. And that's fine because I do think it is fulfilling because you have kids and then they get older and you're like, oh, my little built-in bestie, like whatever. But I don't want that because I feel like I can get fulfillment from other ways and I'm not going to be like a career mama. Like, I'm going to be like this, mogul. Like, I'm going to be, career mind focused. Like, I'm never going to get married. No, I'm not saying that at all. It's just, I feel like I wouldn't get the fulfillment those women get from having kids if I had children. I feel like I would just be nothing but a burden to a child if I birthed it and then had to take care of it. I just feel like I would be the mom that they never talk to once they get older because, you know, she's insane and crazy and we don't like her. And I know what you're saying, but you would willingly adopt like a 10-year-old kid if need be. That's a little different because the kid has had several years to grow up. And by then, like taking in a 10-year-old kid, it'd just be a lot different than birthing it and then raising it and wiping its butt. But I just feel like, because I will say, if you're not a Christian, don't judge. But it's like, I had just turned 21. I had to go every Sunday night Bible college. We were required to go to a church service. And the same one. We all had to go to one. And this guy preached on singleness and people that are called to it. He was like, guys, not everyone's called to get married, and that's fine. I think we should accept that some people aren't going to get married, and it's not a bad thing. It's just their choice. And I was like, yeah, that's great. I completely agree. I think some people just don't want to get married and they are called to other things, and that's fine. You don't need a husband or wife to feel fulfilled. You get it through your works. You're doing what you want to do in life, and that's great. Because I have someone I know that is a big missionary, and she travels like to all these different countries. She's not married, she's not anything, and she gets more fulfillment out of her life than she ever would being a stay-at-home mom. And that's fine. That's her calling. That's her life. But then this pastor goes on to say, if you are 21 and up, please stand up. And I remember I did not stand up. And he goes, if you're 21 and you are single, like completely single, please stand up. And I still didn't stand up because, in my opinion, like pastors saying like, raise your hand right now if you love the Lord, or like everyone please raise their hands up in, agreement. I feel like I do consider myself a follower of God. I do consider myself a Christian, but I don't have to obey commands like that. Like everyone's like, raise your hand if you're a lover of Jesus. We are in church right now. Yes, I am a lover of Jesus. Everyone should know that. I've been going to this church since I was 10 years old. Like, me not raising my hand is not gonna like cause you to explode. Anyway. And so during this church service, he was like, if you're single and 21, please stand up. And I didn't, but my friend did, and she was like 24. And I remember he goes, thank you. Thank you for living your life for God and not seeking like a spouse. Thank you so much for choosing God and your personal relationship with God first. Thank you. And so then we all were just standing there like, is he saying once you hit 21, you're never going to get married? Like, this is it? Like, this is the cutoff? Like, I'm practically dead? Like, this is it? Because it's just worded so weird. Because he's like, if you got that urge at 15, I say let them get married. So they fight, so they get that urge out of the way. Are you saying for a 15-year-old to get married just so, that is messed up to me. I don't know how we've gone from children to purity culture, but that to me is messed up. No. If I got married at 15, why? What? My whole life would be ruined. Like, that's any 15-year-old would be just destroyed. Like, well, my grandma got married at 15. Did she do it because she needed to fulfill her urges, or did she do it because that was just the culture at the time? We now today, 15-year-olds don't have to get married in order to live a good life. And I'm not going to go into purity culture. I refuse. But it's just more of children, thoughts. Here are my thoughts. Children are great. I'm glad people are having them. Thanks for having a kid. But I don't have to have one to be happy. Now, if years from now I do end up having one, do not show me this video. Do not show them the video. Actually, show them. Show them what I sacrificed to have that thing. But it's just, I don't have to feel fulfilled, and I think it's weird that men think it's like selfish of women to not want kids. Because first of all, that's not your body. That's not your possession. You don't own that woman. And second of all, why is it selfish when the child's not even alive or a thing? Like the child, she's not even pregnant. Nothing's been conceived. Why are you even considering it selfish when nothing has happened? Like there's nothing going on. Her womb is barren. And you over here like, how dare you selfish little hag? How dare you be so selfish and not want a kid? Why? How is it selfish? How? It's not like a kid's up there waiting on a cloud. Like, I wish I could be born today, but she won't do it. No. That's not how that works. So, men, shut up. And dare I say, not all men, but a lot of men are like that. And it's okay to not want children, because he has taught me today that they will poop everywhere and be disgusting. But I love him still. I do. I'll pull up another picture of our photo shoot right here. I want you to look at it. He was such a good boy. Me and the photographer agreed that he knew pictures were being taken. He knew what a camera was because, well, first of all, but he knew what was going on because he was just posing. He's a little poser. But anyway, I'm going to sign off now because I have to wash out his pool because it's covered in feces. But anyway, thank you for letting me have this rant. I don't know why I needed it, and I don't know why I decided to do this. I feel like I needed it more than you did, and that's okay. That's okay. Anyway, Manly, do you have anything to say?
Pink Pony Club. I'm gonna keep on dancing at the Pink Pony Club.
Did you hear that? That was my boy. Anyway, thanks for slaying with me today. I hope you are gagged and gooped and galloped away and you're enjoying life. And I don't know how this sounds right now, but I hope it doesn't sound bad because I'm holding it weirdly close to my mouth. But anyway, oh my gosh, it's been almost 40 minutes. Praise the Lord. Anywho, thanks. Have a wonderful day. And as always,